Kentucky Athletics Director. And Mitch, I'll start with this, a very simple question. You have a new coach, I assume, and it's Mark Pope. Tell me how you ended up getting there and why you ended up picking him.
Yeah, that's a long question. The processes are complicated and all these things, and they move rapidly. And obviously, on Saturday night, we didn't anticipate being in this kind of a search this week, and so obviously you start on Monday, and when you get news that things are moving, so you're prepared in terms of things that people that you might want to talk to and conversations you might want to have. But at the end of the day, I think people have this notion that the pool is massively big, and it's really more like a puddle of names, because the folks that could want to do a job like the University of Kentucky is smaller than you would surmise. And so you get to that, and then you begin the process of working your way through availabilities and people that you want. You've got a lot of big personalities involved in these things. And that includes not only the coaches, but the representatives as well. And so you're working your way through all that. And then obviously you've got the media and the public piece of that. So a lot of moving pieces, and we sort of vetted several folks, and then walked through it and got to a spot where I had a really good conversation with Mark Pope, which we've known Mark for years, from the times that he's been back around our campus. And he and Leanne, we had a chance to visit with Leanne. She was in Houston, and so we had an opportunity to bring her into the conversation, and really enjoyed the opportunity to spend more time with them, and felt like he had the energy and the passion, and understands this place at a really, really high level. There's not a lot of people that can say they captained a national championship team in any sport, and he did that for the University of Kentucky, and he brings an amazing passion and energy for this place, and then he has got the skill set that goes with it in terms of the offense and style of ball that he plays, and the things that he does, and the relationships that he has here. And once Mark gets here, and we're hopeful to get him here in the next day, hopefully tomorrow, and in some way, shape, or form, and get him here, people get to see him and see his heartbeat for Kentucky. He's one of ours, and that means a lot to all of us, and to the players that played here, and to people who saw what he did as he represented as a student athlete. He'll do that and more as a coach.
If I'm a fan that's listening right now, and I'm saying, Mitch Barnhart, give me one thing to get really excited about Mark Pope as the next coach of Kentucky beyond the fact that he played here, what would it be?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two pieces to the puzzle. So if you said one, I'd probably go two different sides of the coin. One is the personality side, and the other is the technical side. When you talk to the people in the basketball community, they talk about the unique offense that he runs, and the way he forces teams to defend, and then he makes them defend all the way out 27 by 50. So they come all the way out, and the way they break it down, and they shoot the threes. They led the third in the country in made threes. They were first in, I think, 3-point field goal percentage, or 3-point field goal percentage. So they were up there at least in the top 5 all year. Their offensive efficiency is high level. They were 81 points a game. So when I talk about why that fits in today's landscape of college basketball, obviously we had a team that was upper 80s this year, and sometimes on the defensive end we didn't get as much on the defensive end as we used to. And so I think what Mark does, he brings a little bit of his style as a player when he was here, and he's matched it with some nuances to the offense that I think are really, really cool. And we talk technically a lot about 3 on one side of the court and 2 on the other. It's the new move of the NBA and where the NBA is going, and some of the things that they're doing. And the players like to play that way, and he has already put that in his stuff, and it's really good. And so as you talk to some of the basketball, I'll say junkies, but if you talk about some of the people that are sort of the nuances of the game, Mark's on the cutting edge of those things offensively, and defensively he likes to do some of the things that his team was famous playing for, and how they put pressure on people and turn them over. So from a technical perspective, I'd say you're going to see a little bit of a throwback to some of the things that look like the team that Mark played for, and not exactly the same, because he's tweaked it a little bit and put some of his own stuff in there. And then on the other side of the coin, Matt, I think what he has done is He brings the tenacity, the toughness, and the positive energy. He is a positive guy. You can't be around Mark Pope very long if you don't hear the positivity in his voice. He uses words like, "We're crushing it. We're gonna crush that. We're gonna, get after it." And let's, his positive energy for anybody that comes into contact with him is contagious. And I think, I went back and looked at a couple of his pressers from other things that he'd done. Words like relentless and tenacity and toughness roll off his tongue easily because that's what his teams do. And he went to some really in a league that arguably, maybe right or wrong, you can say arguably they're the best basketball conference this year in the deal. That's what they all said going in. Now, the Big 12 did not have anybody in the Final Four, but they had a lot of teams in that conversation in terms of the NCAA tournament. And he went in to venues and hosted teams in the venues. And in his first year in that league, and probably should have been named Big 12 Coach of the Year. He did not get that, but he went places. He beat teams that we didn't beat, and he beat teams that were people that we interviewed. So, I just say he has a lack of fear of the situation. He is ready to take everything on, and he knows how big this job is, and he knows how important it is to this state. And so that's more than one. It means a lot to him, Matt.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm going to give you the average fan sort of thought, concern I've heard, and maybe you can address some of them. I think that school he was at has unique challenges in recruiting. Do you believe he can bring the best talent to Kentucky? I think most people believe in his X's and O's. Can he get the players here that people think you need to win a title?
Yeah, well, I think that the proof's in the pudding. Obviously, we got to go get that done. But so I get off the phone with him last night, and he already talked to me about two players that he couldn't get to come to have a conversation with him at BYU that already called him back and said, "Coach, I'll come to Kentucky." So it is about the name on the front. It's about the name on the front of the jersey, right? And there's something about that brand. So if you go back and you look at just in the social impressions from Monday at 3:00 until Tuesday at 3:00, University of Connecticut won the national championship, obviously, and they had 17 million impressions in that 24-hour period of time. Kentucky basketball coming off something that everyone would agree is not where we want to be. In that same 24-hour period of time, we had 37 million impressions, over double. So my point is the brand is real, and it is really, really important, and we've got to effectively use it, and we use it. We combine some things in recruiting with the tenacity in recruiting, a staff in recruiting, the brand that we have, and then the NIL space. And we've got some people that have already stepped up over the last 24 hours. We've got several donors that have stepped up to put over $4 million in our NIL portfolio for Coach to work with to get started.
So you confirm that was reported earlier. You can confirm that's true?
I can confirm that's true.
Gotcha.
So that's hugely important for us as we go forward, obviously, in terms of roster management of the current roster, as in roster management going forward. Everyone talks, but we can say that these are weird conversations. This is stuff we've really never talked about on the air before. It's new, but it's real. And so, yes, so that is part of our deal now, and we continue to move forward. We've got more coming. If people want to get involved, we can tell them how to do that through our avenues.
Can you? I mean, how can you do it? You want to do that here?
Through Club Blue. Yeah, you can do it through Club Blue. If you go to I put on my social. There's a link to Club Blue. If you want to go to that, all you do is you can go to. And I'm not plugging my Twitter page because I really don't. That's not my deal. But if you go there, you'll find on my social there is a link to Club Blue.
I'll put it out later. That way people can get it.
Yeah, yours is probably more popular than mine, partner. So.
Well, thank you. Let me ask you this question, because this is going to be what people are going to talk about. Over the last few years, everybody knows what it has been like. Do you feel like, what are some things in the last couple years that were weaknesses maybe around the program that you think Mark Pope makes better with his presence? Everybody knows the strengths of the Cal era. What about some things you think will get better with Mark Pope as the coach?
Well, I think as we look forward, and that's why I want to be really focused on that. And I think that's where you're headed to, man. I really appreciate Mark's desire to bring the Big Blue Nation and all of us together as we galvanize to go back and be who we want to be. And the first thing when we sat down, he says, Mitch, thanks for the opportunity to sit down with you. That place changed my life. He says the trajectory of Mark Pope's life changed the day I walked on the campus at the University of Kentucky. He said, that place means more to me than you can possibly imagine. That no one can replicate that DNA. No one can. And so it's passionate and it's emotional. And that's what you get when he told, and I don't want to steal all of his stories because he's got some great stuff, but when he talks about the autograph signing line after the national championship and what it meant to the people as they stood in line to catch a chance to have a glimpse of a national champion. That's the heartbeat of all of our fans from border to border in the state, and Mark gets that. And that's what I want to make sure that we galvanize that. We galvanize our department around that. There's been, some things that have happened that we need to be banded together better. And I've challenged Mark to really be thoughtful of how we do that. And that's important to me. That helps us as we create culture within our department and culture within our team and our locker room. And we become a program that walks out with that name on the front of the jersey. And we walk out there representing the Big Blue Nation and the 4 million people in our state and worldwide. That is so important. That's what I think. I'm hopeful that we can be as a department better, and that's on me. And as a basketball program, that people feel that. I want them to feel that when they walk in. We understand the goal. If we're going to have the presser in Rupp Arena, it's going to be in Rupp Arena, and it is very. So you're going
to have the press conference in Rupp Arena. Do you know what day that'll be?
They're working on the logistics on that. Probably Sunday, Matt. Probably Sunday. So we're working on that. Probably Sunday. So working, trying to get all the details pulled together. There's an event in Rupp on Monday.
And will that be like for the public? Like the public can come?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep. All right. So that's the first time I can remember that being the case. That'll be on Sunday. All right. So again, I'm kind of trying to channel.
I apologize to the media on that. I know it's not a great day for that, but we're trying to get everything going, get everybody going, and he needs. Obviously, the task at hand is rosters and recruiting. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk for a second.
One other thing that everybody understands. The process has to move really quickly because the dead period ends. And so all of a sudden now everybody's out in recruiting too. That was critical mass as we move forward in terms of.
So you didn't feel like you could wait for someone, am I right?
Oh, you can't wait long in this process because a lot of things happen. People are, all of a sudden you got people making decisions in the transfer world and that kind of stuff that are, are critical to rosters. And well, just give us time, and no one's going to give you time. I mean, that's not in the. They don't care who you are in that deal. It's moving quickly.
Do you think there will be, have you all reached out to, or do you think there will be any players that were either currently on the team or were potentially committed that you can be able to get to still be at Kentucky, play for Kentucky under Mark Pope?
Well, I'm certainly, obviously those are coach's calls, and he's going to make those calls. But I certainly hope that everyone give this staff an opportunity to be able to have a conversation before they do it. That's why getting it done quickly was really, really important. Not getting it done quickly, but getting it done efficiently and being ready to go was really, really important. Because we're not crazy. This notion that no one's quote unquote tampering with your roster, that's gone. I mean, that's the NCAA says, please call us if you hear that's happening. I don't know that they can handle the number of phone calls that it happens on a daily basis from sport to sport. It's not even something they can track. So yeah, I mean, you've got to jump in the middle of this pretty heavily and get to your roster and manage that. And he's doing it. He's going to do that. That's job number one, position number one, role number one, whatever you want to talk about. That's the first thing on his list, amongst other things about connecting with our fan base.
I'm not sure if you moved or something, but you're a little harder to hear. So for the last question, go back to where you were before that question, that would be easier. I want to give you I want to say one last thing. Okay, so I got online last night when this got announced. A lot of skepticism, a lot of frustration, a lot of worry, to be honest with you. Seems much better this morning, but that's still out there. Part of as an AD, You want everybody to rally the troops. I'm going to get you to put on your Colonel, Mitch Barnhart hat. Rally the troops. Why is Mark Pope going to be successful at Kentucky?
I don't know that you can ever describe what it feels like to put the C on a shirt and captain a group of guys to a championship. We're going to roll out at Rupp Arena, and we're going to have a spotlight on the banners that represent this place. There's very few people that can stand on a podium and say they were a part of that and they captained the team and now they're ready to lead the ship. This is our time to, not bicker. We've been bickering a while about what we should do, not do. It's time to say this is our guy. He's one of ours. And it is time to roll in, get behind this guy, and let's go win something together. And let's make sure that we have the heartbeat of what's on the front of that jersey the right way. And this guy can do it. He's got an unbelievable passion for this program. He's got an intelligence about the game. And he is absolutely the most positive people I've ever been around. And the players, they're going to be at that presser that have come out, they believe in him. And so I ever want to cast away the opportunity to say, you know what? Ours aren't good enough to go lead our program. They are. And this guy's great enough to lead our program. And he is. And we can go win championships, and we will.
Mitch Barnhart, thank you very much. I appreciate you calling in, and I will see you Sunday.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.